very much. Well, we wrote the first part of that introduction. Second part, not so sure. It is good to be here with Advocis again. I welcome your advice regularly from members of Advocis. We welcome your support in the financial system in our country. And our country is doing very well in terms of our branding in the world, in terms of the integrity and stability of our financial system, and that to large measure is due to the good advice that Canadians get from Advocis members. If I may for a moment just speak a bit about the terrible tragedy in Haiti. This is a huge tragedy. Our government's been responding quickly, led by the Prime Minister. We encourage all Canadians to donate to help support the recovery effort in Haiti. The situation is quite dire. Tonight, the CN Tower, which is right next to us here, will start showing the colors of the national colors of Haiti, and encouraging all visitors to the CN Tower and all Canadians to donate to help support the relief efforts in Haiti, which are, as I say, needed in an urgent way. So I am happy to be here. I'm going to talk a bit about our financial system and where we are and what we've been through in the past turbulent financial year. Our economy has been resilient. I've been out listening to Canadians this week, as the Prime Minister has, and I was in Western Canada for a few days this week, and in Quebec and Ontario in December, and then we're continuing to go and to listen. This is hugely important because I think it was Yogi Berra said you learn a lot just by listening, and we certainly learned a lot last year by listening to Canadians, especially Canadian business people, small, medium, and large business people, about the severity of the situation which they were facing when the Canadian economy went into a precipitous recession. Now, this recession did not come from within Canada, as you know. It came from outside our country, but it was an issue with respect to which we had to deal in order to protect Canada, protect Canadian jobs, and preserve them during the course of what is the most serious economic downturn since the Second World War globally. Our financial system has been widely recognized as the world's strongest. This is a great advantage for us, and we need to build on this as we start to come out of recession. Notre économie a bien résisté. Notre réaction à la crise économique mondiale est efficace. Notre système financier est généralement reconnu comme étant le plus fort au monde. But an enviable performance has not meant a worry-free time for Canadians trying to pay their bills and save for the future. Recent events certainly have meant uncertainty, sacrifice, some tough choices, and I know the members of this audience are more aware of this than anyone. Canadians do turn to you to make sense of a confusing financial world. They count on you to help them realize their families' dreams. And I've witnessed a fair amount of change in the 4 years that I've been Minister of Finance of Canada, including the credit crisis and the global economic recession during the past 2 years. I can tell you that today Canadians have every reason to be cautiously optimistic. I can assure you that our government has worked hard and will continue to do so to ensure our country comes out of this turbulent period ready to reach even higher goals. We do have a world-leading performance. A summary of Canada's current economic situation is a positive one. Canada is expected to have the strongest recovery in the G7 in 2010. Canada has by far the best fiscal position among the G7 countries. We were well prepared for a recession, and I think this is important for Canadians to realize. In the first 3 years of our government, we paid down about $38 billion of public debt. And of course, we were balancing budgets, and more than balancing budgets, which is why we had the surplus that we could use, not for new programs and not for more spending, but to pay down the public debt. That put us in better shape than other countries, other Western countries, when it came to facing up to a serious economic recession, which we did. The debt to GDP ratio, if you want to use that as a measure, which is widely used to assess the debt of various countries. In 2010, our net debt to GDP ratio will be about 31%. Let's have a look at some comparisons. In the U.S., their debt to GDP ratio will be nearly 67%. In the U.K., it is 75%. In Japan, it is 115%. So Canada is in a much better position than other industrialized countries. And look at unemployment as another measure, and this is a great concern to me, it's a great concern to our government. We were very concerned a year ago when we were preparing the Economic Action Plan about how bad the employment situation would get in Canada during 2009. So we included in the Economic Action Plan some very substantial measures with respect to enhancing employment benefits. Our unemployment rate now in Canada is 8.5%. That's too high, and we're looking forward to that coming down. But the unemployment rate in the United States is 10%. This is a remarkable change. This hasn't happened since 1975 or so, that the Canadian unemployment rate has that sort of advantage over the United States rate. Another measure, private spending. Private spending on consumer and investment goods has rebounded strongly in recent months in Canada. Another measure, residential investment. This has also bounced back in 2009, led by increases in renovation activity, and I know you're all familiar with the home renovation tax credit, which has proven quite popular, yes. We're looking forward to seeing all those tax returns come in this year. I'm also looking forward to seeing the contractors' tax returns come in. Yes, every silver lining has a cloud, I know. Oh my. The Economic Action Plan is a very comprehensive stimulus package. You know, when we looked at this a year ago, we had to make a pretty serious decision. We are a conservative government. I'm a fiscal conservative. We don't want to run deficits, obviously. But the big risk was that we would not do enough. And if we did not do enough, that Canada would slide into a severe, prolonged recession. So we made the decision to run what is, for Canada, a relatively large deficit. As I've just illustrated to you, it's not a large deficit compared to the United States, United Kingdom, and Japan, but in Canadian terms, it is. We did it intentionally, obviously. We did it because we wanted to provide stimulus to the economy through tax reductions, protect workers through the employment system, make sure we use work sharing, which has been very successful in preserving jobs, so the jobs are still there and the businesses are still there as we begin to see the signs of recovery, and of course the stimulus infrastructure package. So we have about 12,000 projects. This is an enormous number approved now across Canada. Well over 4,000 have work underway, shovels in the ground, many, many more to happen now in the first 6 months of this year, because the engineering studies and the environmental assessments and so on, the tendering, have been completed. We extended EI benefits, as I mentioned in Swift Current the other day.